Alright, so I was not sure how I wanted to handle the fan-translated early releases of the manga chapters for One Piece, just because I don't want to accidentally spoil anything for anyone by releasing it early, or my thoughts on it early. But I'm also very, very impatient, and I don't want to wait to talk about it with people, so I'm going to still do a full video when the official release comes out, but for the time being, I want to talk about them also in this kind of wrap-up for also the seasonal anime that I'm watching, and I can talk about it in full spoilers. So, at the moment, though, I'm not sure if I want to do it at the beginning or the end, whatever's easier to avoid spoilers for people, but for the time being, it's at the beginning, timestamps below, about all the manga and anime that we're talking about in this video. Going right into it. My absolute delight and my darling loves. I'm so happy with this chapter here. 1088, the final lesson, and it is so fitting that Garp's final lesson is the same as his first. We have a flashback back to like East Blue Kobe when he's still in his like little bit not so great phase of being a more cowardish, but still you see the potential he has, but you got a lot to learn. And Garp is doing a lesson at pretty much a Navy academy, and he's just like must be some kind of special guest speaker. Who thought it was a good idea to bring in Garp? I'm not sure. Seems like a good idea on paper, but in practice, maybe not. So he opens the lesson with like a thought question. Hey, you're on an island with a lot of enemies, and you need to sail away on this boat. It is you, a baby, and an old man. The boat can only hold two people. Why one of them can't just hold the baby, I don't know. But they have to get on the boat. Only two of them. He's like, Marines, what do you do? And I think it's Kobe speaks up, and he's like, well, I would stay behind so the other two can get away. And I think Garp tosses something at his head. It's like, you are wrong. What the hell is wrong with you? And the teacher's like, stop assaulting the students. And he's like, the answer is you leave the old man behind and you take the baby and go. It's like, but we're Marines. We protect the people. All life is equal. He's like, yeah, but the life of the young is limitless. So you are young recruits, young Marines. You have the potential. The old geezer is marked for death soon anyway. Take the baby, secure the hope for the future that you also possess, and get out of there. And I think that is so good for Garp's character because he's always been described as, like, even when we're talking to him as the fans, it's just like, oh, this is Garp even he's past his prime. But he's still so powerful, and we're almost like leaving out the past his prime part because we're like, hey, I wonder what he'd be like in his youth. But in context of the story, he is also, I guess, known as being past his prime, and he's not resentful for that. He's not ambitious for more glory. He's not trying to keep a name for himself. His goal is to protect the future of the Marines and the young ones under his command and crew. So that is a good ideology for him to instill and to protect his will or project his will onto the youth and being like, your job is to protect the future. And then he gets yelled at by the teachers, like, don't ever do that again. And he's like laughing. Cut to a slightly later flashback, but still not to present time. We are on Amazon Lily, and it is when Blackbeard is attacking and our darling Dark King is protecting the Amazons, but that leaves the Marines more or less undefended. So he's like, I'm not leaving empty-handed. I can't get Boa's fruit. I can't take Boa or deal with them because I'm not messing with the Dark King right now. So I guess I'm just going to take all of you hostage, plus I want all your ships or something like that. He wants everything. And the Marines are apparently just like, Commander, we got an emperor and he wants to take us hostage. Can we engage and fight? I'm on hold. Can we circle back to this later? Blackbeard's like, no, I'm taking y'all hostage. So they can't engage because there's a rule saying the Marines can't act on their own when challenging an emperor because, you know, balance of power. But Kobe, being a member of SWORD, is just like, no, take me instead, let them go. The Marines are all like, oh my god, Kobe, you would sacrifice yourself for us, you are the best. Thank you so very much, we really don't want to die, but we're sorry we're losing you. Blackbeard's like, you think you're worth all these men? You think awful highly of yourself, but crunching the numbers, he's just like, yeah, no, I'll take him, and for whatever reason, not going to take everyone, or there were other prisoners there, so maybe he took them prisoner as well. Who knows? We don't trust Blackbeard. But that's how we get Kobe on the island. So now we're back to the present day. A hand is coming towards the boat from the island, and they're going to crush the ship. Everyone's going to drown. Kuzan would freeze everyone in the water. There is no way for anyone to escape. Tashiki's just like, we might have to abandon the ship. Kuzan would freeze the water. It's a bad plan. And Garp and Kobe and Helmeppo and Prince I'm just gonna call him Prince. Clay Man are back on the island like, what the hell do we do? And Garp's just like, I got this, as he is bleeding out through a hole in his chest on the ground, still having a fun time, apparently. So his response to this situation is, I'm going to create an opening and you guys are going to handle this. And they're like, hold up, what the hell? How are we supposed to handle this? And he's like, do not question yourself in the heat of battle. I'm making you an opening. Take it. So they start running with his instructions. Kobe is going to destroy the hand. How Kobe is going to destroy the hand, he doesn't know, because apparently he doesn't have any explosives on him. Clay Man, Prince Buddy is going to catch the debris. That is actually doable if they can destroy the hand. And Helmeppo's going to make sure nobody stops them from doing what they gotta do. And so they're off running, and no one is like, Kobe's just like, I'm going to figure this out as I go. And he's like, it's a giant hand that can crush a battleship. You better figure it out fast. People are shooting cannons at them, and Helmeppo stepping in, because he's fallen behind as the other two are faster than him, is able to take down those cannonballs. Delight. Garp is on the ground bleeding. Kuzan's coming up as everyone is kind of still focused a little bit on Garp, saying, hey, he's weakened now. We can pick off the small fry and take him out. Kuzan's just being like, Garp, are you honestly trying to stand up right now? You're bleeding out. And he's like, 'tis but a scratch. Speed Blitz shoulder checks, takes down Kuzan in his injured form. Everyone around him goes for the skull head, cracks it open. And the mountain island man is now in pain, but can still control the hand. But he's more or less very much distracted along with everyone else. And the Prince Buddy and Helmeppo and Kobe are just like, well, I guess that's our shot. And Prince Guy is just like, hey, Kobe, tell me you do have a plan. He's like, I'm figuring it out. And speed away, gets away from the Prince Guy, and is just like, when did he get so fast? And he's gone. Cue flashback once again to the training regiment. Now, this is Garp's training regiment. So, Garp picked Kobe and Helmeppo up back in the East Blue. And I do think it was the moment where Helmeppo had been kidnapped by his own father, Axeham Morgan, and was using him as a hostage to get away. And it was Kobe, I think, who stood in front of the cannons to be like, no, there's innocent people in there. You can't just like shoot them down just for the sake of getting the traitorous Marine. And that willingness to protect the innocents and even the next generation, I think, really endeared him to Garp. So he's been taken in as like chore boy and underling of the Marines into training personally by Garp. And we see that Garp has his own training regimen, which we know cannot be easy. But even after all this training regiment, Kobe knows he is not as strong as anyone else around him. He's weak initially starting off, and he needs to train 10, 100,000 times stronger or more intensely to get where he needs to be. So after Garp's training regiment, he goes to the battleship bags, and he is punching those ships until his hands are bleeding, trying to get stronger. And Helmeppo tells this to Garp. Garp, of course, is proud. And we see Kobe use, is for sure Armored Hockey, possibly Conqueror's Hockey? I'm not 1,000% sure. Please, someone let me know. Hand punch destroys the hand coming down towards the ship. So Island Man had been like, you are an ant compared to me. There's no way you can take me down. And he's like, haha, watch me. Boom. Hand is crumbling down on the ship. Our Clay Man sweeps up the debris and puts it aside so the ship can get away safe. Kobe has used up all his energy, so he's just falling. Helmeppo comes in, catches his friend, and together they're all on the ship. So now they're just like, okay, we have to just get Garp and we're good to go. And that's when the transponder snail message comes in saying, good job, mission successful, Kobe is safe, now get out. Garp, we're not leaving without you. You idiots, I told you to go. You are all the future of the Marines. You need to get away and leave me behind. As soon as we had that opening chapter with the message of leaving the old man behind, I'm like, damn it, Oda, we're leaving Garp behind. I knew we were. I knew he had to get kidnapped. It wouldn't make sense for him to get rescued along with everyone else. But doesn't mean I'm happy about it. Yes, I still do want the Revolutionary Army to show up to save him. I know it doesn't make any sense narratively. I really just want his son to show up, okay? I want that at some point in time. Makes zero sense. I want it. So Garp, we cut to him laughing, ice spear through the chest, slowly being frozen in almost a reference to Ohara with Saul. And this is what's getting me. My biggest issue right now is that Kuzan didn't act in any way to stop the hand. Do I feel upset about that? Because it doesn't make any sense for Kuzan to do that. I wanted him to snap just because this is too similar to Ohara. There's a ship going away with civilians on board, fleeing being destroyed islands, and just like how he wasn't in a position to stop Sakazuki Magma Bastard, I can't believe I just called him by name, Magma Bastard. So he doesn't want to be like him. I can't believe that no matter what his motives are, no matter what turn he's making, or what his end goal plan is, I cannot believe that in that kind of situation, so reminiscent to Ohara, that he would allow that hand to come destroy a boat with civilians on it. So I'm really wondering what the hell he was thinking and doing, or if he would have acted in the last possible second, or was just trusting Garp and his men to take care of it, but I cannot believe that he would allow that to happen again when he had the ability to stop it this time. So Garp is laughing, being frozen, Kuzan standing over him. He is not dead at all. No, this is Oda, this is One Piece, he's fine, he's being taken hostage. The newspaper will report that the hero Garp is now missing in action after the successful rescue mission of the young hero Kobe. And once again, the future of the Marines, when he called them all the future of the Marines, I was tearing up. That was beautiful. And then it mentions that the newspaper will also be revolving around the Egghead incident, and we see just a fleet showing up, because Emperor of the Sea, Straw Hat Luffy, is going to be on that island during the incident. And so clearly we're going back to Egghead immediately after, but there's a break next week. I am not used to being caught up. I am not happy about having to wait another week to figure out what goes on, let alone a break week in between. So that's what happened there. I love everything. The first image that we see when we open up this one is actually promo with the anime Luffy and live action Luffy, and it is so cute and wonderful, and I'm so excited for that. And yeah, I think that's all I got in terms of this chapter. Absolute delight. Oda does not miss. I love it. Tell me what you think, and I'm going to probably just compare the scans to the official releases when the official one comes out, and we'll just compare differences and talk about anything that the community as a whole has been discussing. I'm going to start theorizing a little bit more on who I think is showing up to Egghead specifically. Because I made the mistake of saying it was Blackbeard last time, but that doesn't work with timelines because he's fighting Law, unless the timelines are skewed somehow. Anywho, I will talk to you later in terms of that. We are going to talk about Bungo Stray Dogs next, because my absolute loves. This is going to be far less structured and just me gushing about these characters. Because first of all, I need it noted. So, noted. Chuya Nakahara, my favorite character in Bungo Stray Dogs, quite possibly going to be my favorite character in all of anime. Like, I cannot put into words how much I love this man and this character. When I read the manga and just get more from it, I am convinced he is going to be my favorite, just in general. That was before the last 2 episodes, because we have Rampo. My darling angel, the sweetest boy in the world. I love him and everything he's doing. So we have the first chapter, which is just basically a prison break, very fast, because Rampo does no wrong. We learn there's someone targeting the agencies as they're all been separated, the different detectives in the agency, and they're all going to be killed and executed. So Rampo takes it upon himself to stop every execution one by one, and he takes over the identity of the one who's supposed to be doing the executions, gets somebody to knock out a lock, and then rescues Kunikita, and then uses a mirror to get Yosano's capture, and you have him breaking out the boss. I'm so happy with everything, because he gets the president of the agency, he's up on a roof, he's in disguise, the presidency's like, so this is how you're going to have me killed. He takes off the mask, and it's just like, it's me, hi dad, and he goes and gives him a hug, or runs up to him, all smiles, he's just so proud, and the president's just like, I thought you were dead or injured or incapacitated. Like, what the hell? And he's like, please, the only way I would be in trouble is if it was in our enemy's best, or it was in our best interest for the enemies to think I was in trouble. I know everything. There's nothing I can't do. I love this boy. Poe's behind him, taking off his disguise and mask. And he's like, and I was allowed to help. This is how, yeah, we're not talking about you right now. I'm giving my spiel. And he's just saved everybody. And he's wonderful. But he's not done yet. He shows up to the police station or conference where all the news agents are, and it's just like, hey, remember me? I'm the one you guys are accusing of being a terrorist. That doesn't make sense, because if I was a terrorist, you think you'd be able to catch me? You think I would make mistakes? I need you to listen very carefully, because what's actually happening, and he goes into a quick little spiel about how there's a magic sheet of paper that makes everybody not be able to question the actual evidence and must just believe that the detective agency is the enemy, and you're going to throw out anything that's not. So detectives are just like, what the hell? And they look in the garbage like, why did this file get thrown in there? He's like, I need you to think, not as a police detective, but as like with your gut and your heart, do you believe that I would do something like this or that I'd get caught? And then he's like, peace out. So he's now in a police car being escorted back, and all of a sudden, attack, door gets thrown open. Different detectives just like, you're an ass. Come on, we're breaking you out. And he's like, great. Armed SWAT people showing up because they're still thinking like cops and are just like, no, we're taking them in, you're coming with us. And then even more detectives and police agencies running up behind them, willing to fight their own people. And we've separated the cops into two groups. The ones who believe that or are led to believe and manipulate it, that the armed detective agency are the enemy, and the ones who are like, no, it doesn't make sense. We do not believe anything before us. We are going to believe that they are telling the truth and are fighting against them. And Rampo's just like, I am causing havoc, and it is wonderful. And I love this boy. So next he goes to the agency for the hunting dogs, and the guy in charge there. So he has just been named the military leader of the world. They are making a armed military force that have global impact, because that's definitely a good idea. Let's give the dictator-looking buddy full control over militarizing and protecting the entire world. That is definitely a good idea. So Rampo goes to him, and Buddy's just like, give me one good reason not to call security on you. You are an enemy, you're a terrorist. Like, are you going to convince me that you're not? And he's just like, you're a friend of the boss, you're a friend of the president. I could instantly deduce whether or not how to convince you I'm telling the truth. I could psychologically manipulate you into getting my way, because he's Rampo and there's nothing he can't do. He is glorious. But rather he just says, but I'm not going to do that, because I trust the president and the president trusts you, so therefore I trust you. So he kneels before him, asking for his help, improving their innocence, and talking and how to take down the Decay Angels and get the one responsible for all this and who has that paper. And Buddy's just like, all right, that's absolute trust you have in me. Fine, I'll help you out. So they go to the boat along with Atashi, my darling angel. Speaking of which, Ango had been willing to kill Atashi, Lucy, and Kyoko. I am not okay with him. Like, betray me once, fine. Then you help out Dazai. We're forgiven. Betray any of those characters? No, I'm very angry at you. But anywho, he did not, because everything turned out to be fine. But Atashi meets them there at the boat. They're hiding. It's a great little moment. And then Rampo's just like, all right, time to use my instant deduction to figure out who the guy in charge is. He puts on his glasses, and actually it was to my shock and horror. I genuinely believe that if the president liked this guy, then he must be fine. But no, it is the leader of the hunting dogs, the guy that is on the boat with us, that is the one responsible for everything. Betrayal. Absolute 100% betrayal. I trusted this man. I shouldn't have. I had no reason to. But damn it, I did. So Rampo, realizing he made a mistake, he did not make a mistake. He trusted his father figure, and that is never the wrong answer, because the president is flawless and could do nothing wrong and did not mean to put him in danger. But through that love and trust, he has now trusted the wrong person. He should have been deducing who the enemy was from the beginning, and then we wouldn't be in this situation. But I'm never blaming Rampo. He's a sweet boy. He's the sweetest boy in the world. I love this man. So he's like, Atashi, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Throws a smoke flare out, uses Poe's Getaway book to go inside there, and he's just like, run, you cannot beat him. Hunting Dog guy uses sword. It can his special ability allows him to make things like 100 times stronger and more efficient than things are. So next thing we know, Atashi has lost a leg. People need to stop chopping off this boy's body parts and limbs. So he doesn't know what to do. And the ending is just him being like, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of being alone. I will not let this man attack my new family. I will protect them. So he is ready to fight and die. But he's like, please, someone come fight with me. He's just thinking of all the times at the orphanage when he was alone, and then all the times that someone has come and saved him before, with Kyoka and Dazai and Kunkita, and just everyone around him who has stood with him in the detective agency. He's like, I just need someone to fight with me. Cue my favorite mass murderer, the sweetest boy who has done nothing wrong whatsoever in his entire life. It's all other people's fault. Atagawa is on that ship and he is coming to fight with him. Maybe. He probably will. They fight very well together when they're not fighting each other. I love him so very much. Atagawa, I love this boy. Did not like him when I first started this series. I love him so much right now, and just in general. So I'm so excited for the next episode. I cannot tell you how much I love this series. Alright, going to past Jessica, talking about other things that I've watched this week. Alright, I made it no secret in my Jujutsu Kaisen review that I was not the biggest fan of Season 1. I think I refer to it as the most average thing I've ever seen. Nothing stood out to me. I mean, I enjoyed the world, I enjoyed the violence and the animation, but in terms of characters and plot, nothing about Season 1 got me invested. And I chalk that mostly up to the lack of kind of interpersonal character dynamic and just the relationship between the characters of the main cast. Because honestly, there wasn't any. They didn't interact enough. I felt like they were co-workers, and yeah. Thankfully, Season 2 fixed all those problems, because I have absolutely zero complaints whatsoever with the first 2 episodes of Season 2. I am so much more invested than I was before, and we'll get into the reasons why when they kind of become relevant. But my god, first 2 episodes, absolute delight. We open with Geto swallowing this glowing orb, cursed energy, spirit, monster, whatever, taking command, but what the hell he's doing. And I love it. I absolutely adore this scene. It is gorgeous, pretty much. I just really love the lighting. I love the dark alleyway. I love how the only light is coming from that orb. And I just really like scenes with good lighting. So 0 complaints about the animation for this episode. This might be my favorite scene. I just really love good lighting. Cut to however we say her name, Meme. I like her. She is awesome. I remember her from Season 1, and again, I'm like, it's fine. I like that she likes money, but yeah. But her interactions with Otohime and just like, I'm going to overcharge. No, I'm totally not overcharging, but yeah, she is. And still after it for the money, but she's also quizzing and testing almost, but also picking on Otohime for being scared and quizzing her during the investigation and sending her off on her own. Just these two's interactions almost instantly had me hooked. I adored it. I adore these two together, and they are trapped in this mansion. They didn't put up a veil, and they're trying to break this spell that's been put on where they're going around an endless hallway, but they figure out it's not in like an order kind of thing. It's a patchwork system, so they figure if they run in opposite directions as fast as they can, it should break. And I love them in this moment. I love how they're putting it together, this exposition. I love how they're marking the walls to test this theory and keeping an eye on the order of things. I love these two so very much. So they're running, and then Gojo, of course, shows up, and his technique also causes everything, and mansion explodes. And Otohime is just all angry at Gojo and flustered. But I love her interactions with Gojo, and it is, I feel like all these characters have history together, and I'm adoring their interactions. Meanwhile, Geto is just walking up, still in the chibi off-panel kind of form, while they're having a whole other conversation, arguing. He's just coming in the distance. It's just the entire animation, and these characters, how they're presented and introduced. I adore it. I love it. So Geto, Gojo, and Shoko I think her name is, are all getting in trouble with their teacher because, hey, you didn't put up the veil when you went and blew up the building. Whose fault is that? They point to Gojo. He tries to talk his way out of it, but he ends up get hit on the head by the teacher. And of course, Gojo has to allow him to hit him on the head because of his technique. And it's just so nice. But then we cut to them just like playing basketball in the gym. And these are the moments that were missing for me for season 1. We didn't have the characters just bonding and hanging out and feeling like actual friends and characters. Geto and Gojo are having a conversation on pretty much the philosophy of what it means to be a jujutsu kaisen sorcerer and the need to protect the weak versus saying, well, this is annoying for the strong and don't be so moral and all this, but it's actually Geto arguing for the protection of the weak. And then you have a nice little symbolism in Gojo throwing a basketball and getting it in one shot, whereas previously Geto had thrown the basketball but missed. Kind of once again putting Gojo, elevating him above everyone else, because of course with his two techniques, with the, was it Six Eyes and the Limitless? Something like that. Yeah, insanely overpowered character. That's a lot of fun to watch. So, and then you have the girl of the group, she's sneaking out the back when the teacher comes in to yell more and goofing off. It's just, I love the character interactions here. I just really, really do. Just seeing them even walking together. It's just entertaining. I like it. I think the best way I can say it is in season 1, I didn't feel like the characters cared about each other. So, oh, such and such died. Well, I barely knew him. Let's get training for this school event. Like, we're not mourning the loss of this character. Whereas in here, I feel like the characters genuinely care for one another. And were something to happen to them, or were they to be psychologically traumatized, or if someone were to betray the other one, that would have an impact on them, an emotional impact. So they care should something like that happen. Therefore, I care and am invested in the story. That is what was missing for me with season 1. I didn't feel the characters cared about anything or anyone. So Geto and Gojo are called in to do a mission where they have to protect and bring in the plasma star vessel, who is needed for Master Tengen, something like that. He is immortal, but does not have eternal youth, so he's still aging, and every like 500 years he has to combine with the plasma vessel, star vessel, to prevent the next stage of evolution, which could make him like an enemy or not keep up the barriers of the school. Whole thing needs to be done for the greater good of humanity, but it will involve more or less killing this innocent person when he absorbs them. So they're like, guess that's the job. So they're going to go find them and keep them safe, because there's 2 other organizations. One's who has sorcerer powers or curse powers, Q, and another organization with a stupid name that do not have curse users. Something time agency. I don't. They're not relevant at the moment. So they go to look for this girl, and again, I'm loving it, because Geto's on the phone with Gojo, and they're just chatting, and then building explodes, and girl is coming out the window, and Geto has to go swoop in with his cursed thing to catch her and save her. Meanwhile, someone's throwing a bunch of knives at Gojo, and Geto takes care of the issue in the apartment, no problem whatsoever. You have the guy from Q being all trapped up in this monster, and he's like, let me go, please, just let me go, and he's begging Geto, and Geto's pretending he can't hear him, and the buddy's just like, I'll leave Q, I'll leave the city, I'll quit being a sorcerer, I'll go become a rice farmer, just let me go, please. And Geto finally breaks his act, and is just like, he would be a terrible rice farmer, or a sorcerer, whatever, curse user, would never cut it as a rice farmer. And the buddy's just like, so you can hear me, let me go, please. And I love it. I love Geto. He's my favorite of the 2 of them. I love him so very much right now. It's gonna hurt. But the guy from Q is just like, you don't understand, I got this other guy with me, and he's the best of the best, he's gonna take you all out. Cue Gojo sending a text message of him with a selfie of the unconscious body of the guy that buddy was just talking about, because he has already handled that situation, and I love it. I love them, I love it. Don't get me wrong, Gojo is definitely not one of the characters I overall enjoy. I like his powers. They're really cool. But I'm not the biggest fan of a cocky character. I like narcissistic and selfish. But the braggy kind of tone, it's a very subtle line. I'm not a fan of cocky and braggy. I like narcissistic and selfish, but they don't feel the need to say they're better than everyone else. It's a fine line. So I'm not the biggest fan of Gojo's personality character, but his power is absolutely awesome, and he does have some great interactions with other characters, so I do like him a lot. We're introduced to 2 other characters who are also hired to take out this vessel or capture the vessel or kill her, one of it. One of them is really bad at gambling and has a relationship with Megumi, and I know who he is. I've definitely seen it online. Someone called them by who his relationship with Megumi, and I think it's very obvious when they're like, the other character's like, hey, how's Megumi? And Buddy's just like, who? Like, I thought that was very clear on his relationship with him, but there's someone on TikTok who was very confused, so I don't know if it's supposed to be obvious, but whatever. So they are working to take advantage of the fact that there's a $300 million bounty on the girl, and they're going to use that bounty to pretty much wear out Gojo or distract him or tire him out because they know they can't go up against him straight on. The girl is Riko, something like that. And she is apparently absolutely fine with the fact that she is going to be, her life's essentially going to be over when she's absorbed by the Tengen, whatever his name is, viewing it very maturely and reasonably so as the idea that he will become her and she will become him, so she'll live forever with his spirit and all this, and it's needed for the greater good. She understands that she's fine with it. And personally, I want to go with either she's been manipulated this entire time and will have to reject this and want to live, only to have to sacrifice herself tragically to save the world because can't let him go to other evolution. But at the moment, she's cool with it. She said, he will be me, I will be him, and I will live forever through him. So I'm interested to see what happens in terms of the plot. But she is allowed to pretty much just enjoy her life until the time comes, and they just have to keep her safe until that time period. So she goes to school, she's spending time with her friends, and we just see her be a very sweet girl. And it is, at best, bittersweet, and at worst, going to be a tragedy when her life is essentially over. Because right now, she just wants to be with her friends. She tells everyone to stay away. She doesn't want to make a scene, wants to just live normal for the time being. But when some curse spirits things that were watching her get destroyed, Gojo goes to find her, gets her in the music room, and cue my utter annoyance as every girl in the school is immediately fawning over him, and the music teacher is also like giving him her number. And I'm just like, ma'am, aren't you an adult? Isn't he like slightly above high school student? Don't like that at all. But anywho, we have Geto being an absolute delight. He is fighting some older guy. There's a backstory with him, and he's setting him up to a trap. He's going into strategy, and I love it. Then you get Gojo taking her, Riko, and going off. There's a guy with a bag over his head and clones, and they're fighting, and they're no match against Gojo, and it's a delight. I love his powers. The entire first 2 seasons, 0 complaints. Beautiful. Love it. We end with the maid being captured, and she's pretty much the only family that Riko has left because she's an orphan. And again, for all I know, parents were killed because you need less contacts to make you be more manipulative, so you'll be okay with being absorbed by the guy. I think he's in a tree. I don't know who this man is. Some barriers with the school. And I'm willing to bet that she wasn't supposed to form the connection with her, but now that she has, she's just going to be like, hey, we need to save her before I'll agree or cooperate with the absorption, erasure, whatever thing. So, excited for episode 3, very much so. Considering reading the manga, but considering I also have way too much on my backlist for manga, unlikely, but I am enjoying this season 2. Cutting to the Minato Manga. So, absolute delight. I have not read or watched Naruto in so very long. I'm assuming minimum of like 7 years. 7 years ago, I rewatched up to the 5 Kage Summit. And everything after that's kind of a blur because I've only seen bits of episodes. I've read parts of the manga. I might have missed a couple episodes. I'm not really sure. I really do eventually need to go through the entire Naruto manga again. But anywho, absolutely love being back in this world. I love Minato, I do. So that first cover image, gorgeous. He is fighting two of the Jinchuriki, and the tail beast bombs are going on, and Jiraiya's given the order to retreat, so we got to use the Flying Raijin to teleport away. I love the Flying Raijin so very much. It's one of my favorite jutsus. I'm just overall very happy with this manga just in general. Like, it is super cute. There's so much with him and Kushina, and I was not expecting that for a his-centric manga, and we get the development of the Rasengan. And again, it is so cute. I audibly went, "Aw," and I also gasped, even though knowing that these characters had to be fine by the end of it. I'm like, I wasn't scared for them, but I was shocked that one of them was injured. And I really just want more from this. I know it's a one-shot, but is there any way I can be delusional and hope we get more from this time period? Pretty please. Please, let me be delusional. I want more. So they teleport away. We go back to the Leaf Village. Kushina is being followed by 2 Anbu because she is the Jinchuriki. Words are hard tonight. And she's really just like trapped in terms of she lives in this tower. She can't be by herself. They got an extra barrier in the shape of the Uzumaki whirlpool spirals, further keeping her locked in that she can't pass out of. So she goes to meet Minato, and he's there, and she wants to go train with him in the sealing jutsus, but he says, no, I got this other one I need to develop. And Kushina is upset with him, saying that he doesn't want to spend time with her, and she's just so emotional and locked up and dealing with angry Kurama. Like, don't get me wrong, I love evil Kurama, I love violent Kurama, I love spiteful, vengeful, mean Kurama, and I love Kurama being your best friend. I love all forms of Kurama, but he is especially mean in this chapter. And she's having a hard time dealing with that. But regardless of that, don't get me wrong, I love the person locked in a tower, trapped and needing to be free kind of plotline. But we also have Tiny Mike, Guy, and Kakashi, and they are so cute, my darling boys. I love them. You also have like small Obito, Asuma, and Kurenai, I know, but I love my Guy. I want a my Guy manga. I love seeing them. I would love being back in this world. I really do. Minato goes off to train with Jiraiya to further develop the jutsu. He's developing the Rasengan, but it's not called the Rasengan. So we know the hair swirl patterns. Turns out Minato has 2 in opposite directions, and we have the ice popsicle thing happen with Jiraiya again, and then, or previously. And then he develops the Rasengan through alternating whirlpools, swirls of chakra, forming it, and he's essentially mastered this technique already. And he names it, oh my god, what does he name? Something stupid. Ice Popsicle Jiraiya-inspired whirl, let me get the name. The Ice Pop-inspired Nimbus Jiraiya Twin Whirl Sphere. Stupid name that becomes a recurring joke, and it is my kind of humor. I love it. So Kushina, tired of being locked in her tower, kind of falling into Kurama's temptation about him being trapped inside her, but she's more trapped than he is, convinces her to break out, and she uses these chains that I love, those chakra chains so very much. They're so cool. Seals up the 2 Anbu that were watching her. They can't escape. She makes a run for it, and the hesitation she has before crossing the line that forms the outer part of the barrier, where everyone else is passing around her freely, and you can just feel that anxiety and hesitation. She knows she shouldn't cross that barrier, but she does. And she leaves, and you see that flash with Kurama, and I love it. I love it so very much. She goes to the training grounds, finds Minato, and they're together, and they're talking, and he wants to develop this jutsu to train and protect her. And, oh, what does he say that triggers something? He says that he knows that eventually she's going to be called out to the battlefield because those 2 Jinchuriki that he was fighting during the war had said you should have brought the 9 tails if you really wanted to stand a chance against us. So he knows that she's going to be called out soon, and he doesn't want to lose her. And when he says that to her, she is so emotional. I'm going, oh my god, that's some sweet. And then Kurama, my darling boy, he decides to ruin the moment by transforming. We get the tail beast cloak thing coming out. One of the tails comes out and gets Minato straight in the face. And this is full power Kurama, not like half strength chakra Kurama. And that's a whack. So, Minato ends up having to use the sealing jutsu, the Triarm seal, to force Kurama back, and Kushina is using her chakra chains to try to suppress him and fighting with everything they can. And Kurama compares Minato to the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi, putting him on a level comparable to him. And I love Minato, I do, but honestly, how? And there's the whole thing there. We get a flashback with Kushina about her and Mito, the former Jinchuriki, and the history there, and talking about having to fill your vessel with love to counteract Kurama and still leave a happy life. And going up this spiral staircase, forming a helix or rasen, and getting up there, and her grandmother's just like talking about how whenever she comes up here, she's filled with love as she's looking on Hashirama's face on the mountain, and it is some sweet. It is some sweet. Cutting to back to the what's happening there. You have Minato claiming that he's not going to give up on Kushina, that the Nine Tails can't have her. The Nine Tails, Kurama's just being like, why do you care so much about this girl? And he's like, I love strong people, I respect strong people, or I love people who are stronger than me, so I love Kushina, and I won't let you have her. And he continues to fight using the Rasengan to fight Kurama in this field. He's kind of like in the seal, because he used the seal. There's a whole thing there, and it ties into how Naruto and Naruto's mom, Kushina, end up appearing with him when the seal need to be used. It's a whole thing there, but it does work a bit better. And uses the new jutsu to get Kurama back, as well as he's tied down with Kushina's chains. And they are able to reseal him after already getting a bunch of tails out and taking another tail straight to the gut. I don't know how my sweet boy is surviving this. But he does. So he wakes up in the hospital, healed by Lady Tsunade, which it's playing fast and loose with timelines. But Kushina hugs him, and again, it's some sweet. This entire thing is just really, really sweet. Minato goes and explains that he's developing the jutsu, so she will have something to counteract the tail beast bombs and keep her safe. And he tells her the name Popsicle Double Whirlwind Jiraiya Inspired, and she's like, that's a stupid name. So they go up to the top of the staircase, and she formally names it the Rasengan. And they're so sweet and in love. And it's some cute. This entire manga was some cute or short chapter. I want more, so much more. So can we get more, please? I really did like it. I really like being back in the Naruto world. I love the art style. I love the characters. I love the designs. I love the fight scenes. I have zero complaints. I live by the rule of cool. If it is a cool scene, awesome moment, it doesn't matter if it slightly contradicts canon events before it. So that's all I got. I will talk to you later. Bye.